These were the scenes that broke out in August last year when the EFF stalled the sitting, demanding President Ramaphosa to answer questions around the theft of money in foreign currency at his Phala farm. Chaos ensued and several EFF MPs were removed from the House. 3 EFF MPs, Veronica Mente, Nazir Paulsen, and Kanya Ceza, will now face a DC. However, the process has hit a snag as the initiator has since been appointed to chair the University of Cape Town's council.
This matter raises a unique complication for me. The EFF student body won overwhelmingly the elections at the university. I have to deal with them both as a student body and as a political formation. Whether I like it or not, there may be some allegation that I've taken sides.
We had no objection to Mr. Arens's withdrawal. We understand his position, and we wanted to express our commendation to him for taking the cautious approach that he is taking.
Some lawmakers welcomed Arens's decision.
And I agree with him in terms of the presumption of bias, or perception of bias that there could be. So, Chairperson, I would propose that we accede to his request to be released.
As a community, we shouldn't complicate any of these reasons that he advanced, but for us is to accept.
However, the EFF says justice delayed is justice denied.
We must underscore the delay in justice that this entire development is going to cause. We must underscore that. Already the matter has been in abeyance for over a year.
Parliament is now looking for a new initiator before the DC can proceed. Several other EFF MPs will face DC hearings for disrupting 2 other House sittings, the President Q&A in June last year and this year's State of the Nation address. Parliament also heard this week from the Office of the Auditor General that medical legal claims against the Health Department are on a steady increase. This as the National Council of Provinces delves into the impact of medical negligence claims on provincial health budgets and mitigations on medical legal claims. The AG's office says claims from 2018 to the end of March this year stood at 77 billion rand. During this time, more than 15,000 claims were lodged against the department. The province with the highest number of claims is the Eastern Cape, with just over 4,440.
As at 2023, the balance was sitting as cumulatively approximately 77 billion. And our observation is the fact that we realized that as much as the sector wanted to reduce this amount, over the years, this amount has actually increased significantly.
Some of these claims are justified, and you can see from the presentation of the AG, which we really agree with their progress report, that they are justified, but others have really been found to be fraudulent, and hence the proclamation by the president to allow a special investigation unit to investigate the medical legal claims.
Meanwhile, Parliament has asked the public to comment on the National Prosecuting Authority Amendment Bill. It is one of the measures to deal with and prevent state capture. However, MPs raised concerns that the bill does not deal sufficiently with the independence of the NPA. In addition, the NPA Amendment Bill addresses the President's response to the state capture report. The President's response has 3 main points: to establish a permanent investigative directorate, to ensure transparency in the appointment of the head of prosecutions, and to strengthen the capacity of the NPA. The current NPA Amendment Bill before Parliament only deals with one of the 3 aspects.
investigating directorate to be established as a permanent entity. Here, the National Prosecuting Authority Amendment Bill has been introduced and is currently undergoing deliberation in Parliament.
MPs raised concerns that while the bill deals with the establishment of a permanent investigating directorate, it does not deal adequately with the independence of the NPA.
From what is in the presentation as well as what was now shared with us during the presentation, we must, in my view, be worried that there is a disconnect between the remarks of the Zondo Commission about the importance to deal with and to establish an independent national prosecuting authority versus the envisaged work by the department and this government as set out in the presentation.
And we know the recommendations came out a long time ago, the Zondo Commission, and we are dealing with an NPA bill now. So it is a pity, and that bill dealing with or purporting to deal with the permanent successor to the ID. It's a pity that we were not able to look at this aspect, independence of the NPA, understanding it would require a constitutional amendment, as the department has pointed out. But the pity now is obviously this is now going to stand over to post-election.
The department considered that there is no time to add proposals that deals with the independence of the NPA.
Those are all issues that are quite complicated, that need to be reflected on, deliberated on, and will take time, particularly if they involve constitutional amendments. And that is why we want the National Prosecuting Act Amendment Bill passed to ensure that right now the investigating directorate has greater capacity.
However, MPs say an investigating directorate that falls under the NPA will not be independent, citing the fate of the former investigating directorate, the Directorate for Special Operations, as well as that of the Scorpions.
We've seen what happens when you have an investigating directorate that works, housed within the National Prosecuting Authority. As soon as politicians become uncomfortable with such a unit, they just disband it, as they did with the DSO. Despite great opposition to the disbanding of the DSO, it was disbanded because it went after politicians and they didn't like being bitten.
The department reiterated that it is racing against time if it wants to ensure that any changes before the 6th Parliament term ends ahead of next year's general elections. The closing date for submissions on the National Prosecuting Authority Amendment Bill is the 6th of October. Parliament also received the news of the passing of anti-apartheid activist and former Foreign Affairs Deputy Minister Aziz Pahad. Pahad was a Member of Parliament and Foreign Affairs Deputy Minister between 1994 and 2008. Political parties sent messages of condolences describing Pahad as a man who was committed to nation building, human rights, and a peaceful international community.
Focus is saddened by the passing away of one of our veterans, Comrade Aziz Pahad, who served in this country by excellence. He was appointed as a deputy minister in 1994 to 2008. That on his own is a clear demonstration of his passion, his love, and commitment to serve. The policies that we're implementing now, he has been very instrumental in those international policies that South Africa is owning up. We are saying we have lost a great leader.
Mr. Pahad was an exemplary diplomat for our country in his role as the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, and he played an instrumental role in helping to position South Africa internationally as, an important player in international relations and foreign matters.
He also continued to serve as an international diplomat who had represented our nation on the global stage with distinction. His legacy is one of commitment to the principles of equality, justice, and human rights, and his legacy will forever inspire us to continue the journey toward a more just and equitable society.
Parliament will now go on a constituency period for about 2 weeks. Ulelani Philip, SABC News, Parliament.